free to do so via Twitter is the best way, at RGMMC if you're on Twitter, at RGMMC. Tag your message with that. And Ken and I will be more than happy to read it out, as long as it's kind and you're nice to us. We'll read it out as we can during the course of the day. There's also a Facebook page for RGMMC, the organisers of the Euro Rotax Challenge. If you're here at the circuit, you are having a tablet or an iPhone, you can pick up Wi-Fi, then you can watch the racing live. Of course, you can watch it live if you come trackside, but if you're in the paddock and you want to keep an eye on what's going on at the circuit, then you can tune in. We're broadcasting live online throughout the course of the weekend, and you go to the website rgmmcmedia.com, click on the Go Live button, and a window will pop up on your screen. You'll be able to watch the racing and listen to Ken and myself online. So the karts come out onto the warm-up lap. The warm-up lap followed by the formation laps. There's 2 out laps as they build some heat into the tyres, which won't take too long today, although it's nowhere near as warm as yesterday. We've been up and around 30 degrees for the last week here in the UK. It's still pretty warm, but it's much more overcast than it's been yesterday. At this time of day, there was not one cloud in the sky here in Lincolnshire. A few more clouds came along during the course of the afternoon, but it started today overcast. And while it's fairly bright, it's a bit breezy. It doesn't quite look like the sun's ready to break through yet. So slightly cooler conditions, which might affect the way the drivers have to set the karts up, in particular the tyre pressures. And yesterday they would have run very, very low tyre pressures so that the tyres didn't get too hot during the course of the sessions, the qualifying sessions, and overheat. Today the tyres will take longer to heat up, and therefore they should have a bigger window in which the tyres are performing at their optimum, all running on Mojo slick tyres and limited to a couple of sets during the course of the race weekend. So looks like a good race that we're going to have from the juniors, the second heat from them. And to call you through the start of the race, my colleague Ken Walker is about to talk you through as they come around, ready for the start.
So David Wooder on pole position, joined by Connor Hall on the front row. Max Timmermans and Guan Yu Zhou, row 2. It's a 6-lap race. It's a sprint. No time for big errors. And Dave Wooder from pole makes a really good start. That's aborted. The start is aborted. And whilst everything that Chris and I say to you is unofficial and we don't know the official score, but I suspect the formation and the approach speed were foul of Mr. Thomas Liner's preferred, shall we say, approach. It was not the straightest approach, and it was certainly not the steadiest approach. We try again. Well, it's interesting. David Wooder has the prime responsibility from pole position to bring these guys in at an acceptable pace. And whilst it's a huge advantage, a huge bonus to start your race on pole position, it does bring with it that particular responsibility. Dave Wooder's actually blasted about 150 metres ahead of the rest of the guys, and maybe should think about bunching them a little bit sooner, or else we'll have another too fast approach. Connor Hall joining him on the off-pole position on the front row, been a lot more circumspect with the speed as they go round on this additional lap after the aborted start. Well, they're still, wouldn't want to be going too much quicker, would they? Maybe that's okay. Formation looks solid. We try again. And again, David Wooder gets a good start from pole position. He's followed through by Max Timmermans into second place. That looks like possibly Guan Yu Zhou in third place. Oh, and again, we've got a shunt underneath the bridge. Chris dutifully puts his glasses up, but of course he's looking in the dark under the bridge. We'll try and identify who we can. And in fact, Chris, I think you're there. Javier Gonzalez from the United States was one, and Eric Stahl, kart 67 from Belgium, was another. But David Wooder leading from Matthias Christensen. I think I called Guan Yu Zhou as the second place driver. It was Matthias Christensen, and Max Timmermans just losing a place now. That was a correct call, if I was to say, Joe, on that one. And Connor Hall in kart number 22 at least now, having had that, not so much a slow start, but it's not easy here at PF from the off-pole position. It's often not easy on any of the circuits. But David Wooder actually now being tracked down a little bit, I would say. Cart number 46, Matthias Christensen, 0.2 of a second behind him, and those two well clear of the rest. And I don't know how Chris Hartley reads it, but it seems to me that Matt Christensen possibly just getting a little closer to David Wooder.
Yeah, terrific start, wasn't it, from Christensen, who really did squeeze his way into the first corner, legitimately so, now under braking. Yeah, terrific start for Christensen as he squeezed through at the first corner, and under braking into the hairpins, he now begins to close in again on the race leader. Number 34, David Wooder from pole position. Christensen having come up from the third row of the grid there in second place. Connor Hall in third position, edging away now from Max Timmermans in fourth place. You can see the leaders coming through pretty much nose to tail. Van Riet and Hugenboom, in fact no, Van Riet trying to get ahead of Guan Yu Zhu for fifth position. The three carts who came to grief under the bridge on the first corner were 67 Eric Stahl, 91 Javier Gonzalez and 57 Maxim Stotland. And Maxim has not rejoined. The other two did, but Maxim Stotland, I'm afraid, parked up at the side of the bridge and out of the race, having not even got as far as turn 3. Right, they're all closing in now on the race leader, significantly so for the fastest driver out there, which is Connor Hall in third place, the championship leader. Green and white suit, number 22, the orangey red helmet there. You can see in third place Connor Hall, the championship leader, running through screen, running through the hairpin. He gets a good exit on the way into the second hairpin. He's going to go for a move. It's a clean move, and he gets second place away from the Dane Christensen, who's pushed back to third position. Good clean move that from Connor Hall to get second place. It was all about the exit speed from the earlier hairpin. That just gave him the momentum, and there wasn't much that the Dane could do to keep him back. So Hall, Christensen, second and third now. Guan Yu Zhu just behind them. Second in the championship, don't forget. Connor Hall is the championship leader. Guan Yu Zhu is second to him, albeit there's quite a big points difference between the pair of them. And Guan now gets a good run coming out of turn 14, and he's going to have a look at the inside on the way into turn 1 at the start of a new lap, and through he comes. So Christensen makes a good start, but in terms of ultimate pace, he's not got quite the handle of those ahead of him, and he slipped back to fourth place now. And meanwhile, Ken, having got through to that second place, Connor Hall is eating into the advantage of David Wooder.
Most certainly, it was 0.39 of a second when they ended lap 3, which is the half race distance, and I volunteer that it's less than 0.39 of a second now. However, David Wooder not driving particularly wildly, not driving extravagantly, and maybe he's got a little bit more available to him if he has to do some conservative driving, some defensive driving. Just going back to Connor Hall's passing moves and Guan Yu Zhou's, I didn't think that Matthias Christensen did an awful lot wrong, but he just wasn't sharp enough to recognise that there was the tiny gap there, and it was a beautiful execution, as you called in commentary, by Connor Hall. Really, really superb piece of driving. This is the end of lap 4, so only 2 to go, and there's 0.21 of a second between David Wooder and Connor Hall, because Connor Hall pushing on now as we go over the bridge. 1 7/8 of a lap remaining. Connor Hall, though, finding that David Wooder is fighting back, and Guan Yu Zhou closing on the two of them. And here is David Wooder. Oh, and there's some very defensive driving by Connor Hall there, which immediately lifts Guan Yu Zhou straight through. So whereas we had about 3-4 cart lengths between Zhou in third place, all of a sudden he's second and bidding for first. Chris, it's an interesting thing. You've been a racer. We could understand what Connor Hall was doing, but you surrender the speed, don't you?
Yeah, he used to all of his senses there. He got no mirrors on these carts. All he could hear was the engine getting closer and closer, and he knew David Wooder was coming. He had no choice really but to try and defend the corner, but David got him at the next hairpin. Then Guan Yu Zhu got alongside, and they're going 2 abreast now. Again, Guan Yu Zhu just about holding on to second place. There's a bit of contact between the pair of them as they run through turns 1 and 2. David Wooder wheel to wheel, literally there with Guan Yu Zhu, second and third, but in the end there's no change of position. Yu Zhu holds on to the position. Christensen's coming back at them now in fourth place as they come out of turn 5 down the hill and towards the hairpin. David Wooder squeezing up the inside. He's going to get the move here on the way into the first hairpin, and David Wooder, who's very quick, isn't he, out of turn 5 again, makes a good move under braking to get second place back from Guan Yu Zhu, who's got Christensen now trying to swarm all around the outside of him. Max Timmermans, number 77, coming back at them as well. They're going two abreast again here. Guan Yuzu doing everything to try and fend off Christensen on the way through turns 8 and 9. And now he has an attack. Has a look at the inside of David Woodard. Look at this squabble for second place. Woodard just about holds on to the position. There's great battles all the way down the order. Thomas Issa had a bit of contact. He ran into Darren Keane a couple of laps ago at the hairpin. The checkered flag comes out, and the race winner is Connor Hall. Second place is going to be David Woodard, who just about gets there at the final lap of the race. Guan Yuzu third, Christensen fourth at the flag. In fifth place, Timmermans. And coming through to finish inside the top six in sixth position was the number 80 kart of Richard Verschoor, the Dutch driver. So Connor Hall winning the race by 1.7 seconds in the end, but it was only really with a couple of laps to go that he got the lead of the race, and he had the speed to just pull away. He was helped, though, to quite a large extent, Ken, by the fact that the others were all battling away, weren't they?
Yeah, I thought at the time that was fabulous spectating for the neutral viewer, but at the moment that Dave Woodard, Guan Yu Zhou, Matthias Christensen were having the dice that they were, that in effect handed the race to Connor Hall. Now, that is not to say that he wasn't a deserved winner. He was. Okay, let's have a look on screen. Connor Hall wins it from David Woodard by 1.7 seconds. Guan Yu Zhou in third place. They're all Brits. The Danish driver Matthias Christensen was fourth. The German Max Timmermans fifth. Then the Dutch guys, Richard Verschoor was sixth. Lorenzo van Riet on his birthday, happy birthday Lorenzo, was seventh. Leonard Hogenboom was eighth. Dennis Becker's ninth. Four Dutchmen in a row. And completing the top 10, I didn't see it myself, but my colleague Chris Hartley called it in commentary, having had a bit of a clatter at some stage in the race. Thomas Issa from Jamaica completing the top 10 at number 10.
Yeah, he clipped the side of his teammate, actually, Darren Keane, while they were having quite a squabble out there. And Dennis Teese was the one who was able to benefit at the time, although Dennis, in the end, fell back behind Thomas Issa and just outside the top 10, as you can see there. Darren Keane, the American driver, was the one that fell back to 14th place. And another nationality that we haven't mentioned yet there, the Argentinian, Nicolas De Pero, all the way from Argentina there, in 17th place. Lars Lamberel, quite an enigma this season. He's blowing hot and cold, isn't he?
It's all or nothing, isn't it, with Lars?
He was quick enough. He was quick enough and got into the finals at Belgium, but he was excluded for his part in the first corner shunt, which in the end, the chain reaction sent off, even though he was about 7 places behind him, he sent off Josh Price in the pre-final. So he was excluded from the meeting, but then he goes and wins the next round in Italy, and now he's off the pace, quite a bit off the pace here so far this weekend, based on what we've seen in warm-ups and qualifying, and has a poor result down there in 21st place. So Lars Lamberel not so far having one of his best weekends, but there's time yet for him to recover. So Connor Hall